Why an army chief as the chief of defense forces fits Pakistan's realities? Now let me explain. Pakistan's geography, threats and campaign history are overwhelmingly continental and population-centric, so the decisive effects that matter for policy are produced on land. A single senior commander with deep land warfare experience, empowered to integrate air and naval power, aligns ends, ways and means across the joint force without diluting the domains. Classical theory that supports a land-centric supreme commander. Clausewitz. War serves political purpose, control of people, territory and government in the decisive outcome. These are secured on land. His center of gravity in most state conflicts sits in fielded land forces, capitals, logistics, hubs and public will, all of which are influenced primarily by land operations. Unity of command reduces friction, shortens decision cycles and aligns campaigns with policy. Germany. Concentration of force on decisive points and lines of operation favors a commander who understands maneuver over terrain, logistics and interior lines, all core land war problems in Pakistan's context. Now, Mackinder and continental strategy. States situated on major land corridors must secure borders, passes and interior basins first, then project influence outward. Pakistan's placement at the junction of South, Central and West Asia with long land frontiers and passes makes the continental frame apt. Talking about modern strategies, control of territory and populations is the only form of control that can settle political contests. Air and sea power of enable, shape and sometimes punish land power closes the deal. A joint commander steeped in land campaigns who systematically integrates air and maritime effects fits that logic. Pakistan's operating environment that makes this choice ideal. Threat texture is land heavy. Border management, long frontiers, terrorism and insurgency in diverse terrain, urban security in the Indus corridor, grey zone pressures along the LOC and working boundary all manifest first on land. Campaign demands are joint but land-led. Counterinsurgency, stabilization and cross-border crisis require persistent ground presence, integrated intelligence, precision fires, air mobility and maritime interdiction, yet the scheme of maneuver is anchored on land. Mobilization and sustainment. Land forces carry the load for mobilization, engineering, route security, logistic nodes, and humanitarian response during floods and earthquake. A single supreme commander synchronizes civil military tasks with Air Force lift and Navy sea lift. Now the deterrence architecture. Ground-based missiles, air-delivered systems and emerging sea-based options must be fused into one targeting and C2 picture. An army-experienced CDF who has command joint targeting in land campaigns is well placed to do that. Talking about organizational advantages of an army chief as CDF. Unity of command, faster decisions, border crisis, compressed time. A land-savvy CDF can apportion air, sorties, ISR and naval tasks to decisive ground actions, quickly reducing seams. Coherent theatre design. Pakistan's likely theatres are defined by land access, river lines and passes. Theatre commands anchored on land formations but co-led with domain deputies enable joint effects while matching geography. Better resource trade-offs. A single CDF chairs a tri-service capability board that balances near-term land urgency with maritime domain awareness, coastal defense, air defense, cyber and space investments. Civil-military interface. The institution that most often leads interagency crisis management on the ground is the army. A CDF fluent in that system improves policy military translation. Now, hardwired safeguards for other services. Role clarity in law and doctrine. CDF leads strategy, joint operations, joint capabilities, and theatre commands. Service chiefs retain authority to recruit, train, equip, and nurture service culture. Domain guardianship rules. Air apportionment and integrated air and missile defense chaired by the Air Chief with the CDF as final arbiter only on joint priorities. Maritime strategy, SLOC security and sea denial led by the Naval Chief with codified minimum ready forces that cannot be reprogrammed without a joint board. Now, why it is joint power with land at the core, not army over air or navy. Land is the decisive arena for political control in Pakistan's context. Air and sea power are decisive enablers, without which land campaigns stall. A land experienced CDF is a system integrator, not a serviced monopolist. The model succeeds when the CDF is judged on joint outcomes, for example, securing borders, safeguarding SLOCs, keeping the air defense umbrella intact rather than on army-only matrix. Now some talking points. Pakistan is a continental power with maritime interests. Our chief is a joint commander who integrates air and sea to win on land where political outcomes are decided. This change codifies what operations already require: unity of command, faster decisions, fewer differences. Air and Navy are not subordinate in substance. They are empowered by law, budgets, and command charters that protect domain-critical missions. The CDF is about joint effects, not service primacy. Air leads IAMD and strategic aviation. Navy leads sea control and sea denial. The CDF aligns all three to national strategy. And now the conclusion. In Pakistan's setting, a land-savvy CDF is a logical, even optimal choice because it matches geography, threat, and history. The appointment is perfect when it comes with visible guarantees that Air and Navy are mission-led for what they uniquely do best. That budgets and billets reflect joint priorities and that operations are run through theatres where all domains have command presence. Well, that is how you get the political outcomes Clausewitz cared about, with a modern joint force that fights and wins as one. I hope that answers most of your questions. Satisfied? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much.